I think one of the things that was brought up recently when somebody mentioned about 8th Street, that the people didn't want it. I think this is a situation where I think you're worried about setting up a precedence, but you're also getting a unanimous, okay by the citizens that live on that street. So it's not like, you're creating something, that's gonna throw the whole city into some sort of a chaos or whatever, because it's not gonna happen. We're concerned about this, and this has been voiced over and over. So and we've talked about law enforcement, we've talked about the idea that we're short on police to be able to enforce the limits, we've talked about, ways of doing this. This is in essence, when you put this in by our request, is that you're monitoring the speeds, maybe not 100% or whatever, but you're making an effort in doing something at all times of the night. You're not putting a stress on your police department. You're satisfying the requests of the people that live there. So give it a try. You've got nothing to lose. Pure and simple. I mean, if anything, you're setting a precedence that you're actually listening to the people that live on the street, which is kind of a novel idea. That's all I gotta say.
All right, thank you. Yes, Sid.
Just a couple comments. The Constitution gives the citizens a right to petition the government, literally. And there was a petition signed. That doesn't happen that often. And I think, as long as Mike and Bob and, it's not like we're just deciding to do this. If the city engineer and Bob had, safety issues, or the fire department, I think it's one thing, but I think on a case-by-case basis, if we listen to what the city says and they don't have a problem with it, I don't see a problem with taking it on a case-by-case basis. Plus, we're actually responding to a desire that the citizens are requesting of us, so that's my comment.
Yes, Ellen.
Greg, just in recollection, how many requests for speed bumps has the city had in the past 3 or 4 years?
Request none. This is the first specific request where someone walked in and said, I want you to take a look at this, and ultimately the petition, if we kind of go along that route, I want you to decide one way or the other whether we can do this. We've discussed it 2 other times, the Shoal Creek one potentially, I don't remember off the top of my head, but that's possible because there's a lot more school traffic kind of looping that area.
Sure.
Star Street, I mean, just informally. I've had enough people, I mean, that's why we chucked our speed sign out there for so long.
And you can sit on my front porch and watch them go by in the afternoon.
And then 8th Street, we talked about speed bumps, and there's kind of consensus of the few neighbors that have come that like, yeah, let's not do that yet. And
Okay,
so we said,
so we're not
okay.
inundated with requests, we don't do a lot of this generally. I understand the concern for precedent, but I think this is a reasonable request at a time when we can do something to alleviate a problem and going down the road, taking a look at longer term solutions.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? It is a resolution, so someone would like to introduce the resolution.
I'll introduce it.
The resolution has been introduced and is designated as resolution number 2022-16. Would anyone like to move that this resolution be passed and adopted?
So moved.
Second.
Well, motion and a second. Please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting for is Beck, Camperth, Coltman, Singleton, Hendricks. Voting against Wilkin, Miller, and Streisand. 5-3.
Item number 7, consideration of an interlocal cooperation agreement with Seward County for the East Seward Street Improvements Project. City limit to Highway 34 and authorization for mayor to sign all documents. Greg.
Yes, this is the interlocal related to the project that we approved the specs for and put out ready for bid. And so you can read through it. Essentially, the county with this interlocal would agree to cover a flat portion of $200,000 of the project. That was kind of the discussion that Commissioner Zabraki and I had well into last year. And so this was reviewed by the county attorney. She did add, if you're in your current draft, if you're not in your current draft, It's in paragraph 13. It just adds one sentence that says the county liaison may attend said meetings. These are the oversight and project progress meetings upon request. Other than that, County Attorney Wendy Elston didn't have any other changes. I reviewed this and went over it last week with Commissioner Zabraki, and this will be on the agenda next week for approval by the county. If it's approved tonight, if it's not approved tonight, then obviously we won't take it to it. So, but this will give us an agreement to fulfill the project, because technically a lot of it's, pretty much all of it's on the county portion, but we're gonna get that done, work together, and we'll bid it all out and oversee it for them. And then we'll handle the maintenance afterwards, because we have the proper equipment to do that. And it's just a continuation of what we're already doing. So, I can answer any questions you have.
Any questions or comments from the council? Otherwise, I'd ask for a motion.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Seeing none, please register your votes. Please display the votes.
Voting in favor, Wolken, Beck, Camperth, Coulterman, Miller, Singleton, Streisand, Hendricks, 8-0.
Alright, next goes to the administrator's report.
Like I told you, there's a lot of stuff on there. I'll remind you that we do have the public hearing with NDOT on the 28th. And I would highly recommend, I believe the city administration will be speaking on behalf of that project and our interaction with it, involvement with it. I know a number of people that are going to attend and speak on that. I would say whether you're against it or in favor of it, no matter what, it's important for our community to go out and speak on this project. As you remember, 15 years ago, approximately, when they had the previous Highway 15 project, a bunch of people came in opposition to it. There was apparently people in favor of it, but I think they kind of just took it for granted, didn't show up to that meeting, and NDOT moved on and said, we're moving to the back of the line, we're going to another town that wants the project that we have teed up next. And they moved on, and they didn't reconstruct in any way, shape, or form Highway 15 through town, and now we have it stuck in the state that it's been in for the last 15 years. So this is our opportunity to get Highway 15 from Ash Street all the way through to the high school and beyond, basically fully reconstructed or repaved in probably what's the worst maintenance section of our highway.
Is there any widening involved in this?
There
project?
is. There's widening from Jackson, one internal turn lane, all the way up through Hillcrest to match Hillcrest North.
Okay.
Yep. And so, different safety reasons for that. Some of it is if you got a semi truck barreling down on you and you're going down those hills and you need to turn into your driveway, well, you can pull into the middle turn lane. That semi can kind of continue on by or other traffic, and then you can safely make it into your turn. I know there were some comments, and they shared them with the stakeholders meetings on getting out of driveways and things like that.
It's supposed to take about a year.
It will, they anticipate that it will start Easter of the construction year,
2024.
and then it will I would highly recommend go to the meetings. There's, the amount of information on this is astronomical.
It's a lot.
They'll wrap up the first portion, which is Ash to Highway 34, full closure by 4th of July, open it for the 4th of July, and then they'll close one lane and allow southbound traffic. They'll fix that one lane, and then they'll switch over to the other lane, still southbound traffic, and then that will finish it. But that will take them a year then. So July 4th to July 4th is what they anticipate. There's no winter work in this. So when they shut down for the winter, they'll get it in the best state they can for usability, and then they'll just abandon the chip, kind of just leave it sit until they come back in the spring, and then finish up for that 4th of July weekend. Or,
Do we have a say in this,
yes.
whether it gets done or not?
Yes. Whether it gets done or not, the state is planning. If we don't want them to do the project, then we can come out in full force and do it. I would say that a lot of the stakeholders and stuff we met with were like, when are you gonna fix that road? Because the subbase, Mike could speak to this, the subbase is basically a 100-year-old brick subbase, correct?
Correct.
Is not meant to hold any of the weight that it holds right now. The bricks have essentially obliterated themselves. And
That's
so,
why it falls apart so quick.
yes, the subbase, and the base below that was never proper for the roadway as it exists now, or as it will need to exist in the foreseeable future. And so they'll go down all the way, I don't know how deep it goes, but it's pretty darn deep. And they'll go through and do all the subgrade work to make sure that this thing drains properly, and a lot of other things. And so, but I think it's essential. We want to dissuade anybody that has interest in this, but if you're in favor of it especially, I would say make sure you go and attend and let them know that you're in support of it. I'm sure there are people that will have concerns, and some stakeholders did when we met with them.
When's this meeting?
What?
Next Thursday at 5
Thursday.
o'clock.
Next Thursday.
Civic Center.
So that was a big one we've been working on over the time being, but I wanted to inform you. Wastewater treatment plant, we met extensively with SEH. They flew in and had a Zoom meeting with us that we met with. And then myself, Councilmember Miller, Councilmember Streisand, and staff and the city engineer all went and did a tour follow-up of the facility to kind of outline some of the issues we were talking about, so you can have a full frame of reference and walk through the whole current facility with everybody involved in kind of that process. And so that was incredible learning experience, and thanks to Mike and Tim and Gary for putting that together for us. I think we're about due to that point where we're going to start lining up maybe before the summer. You don't want to be out there when it's hot. It just doesn't smell well. But we might line up in the fall. Again, I think it would be beneficial. We have enough new employees we want to take out there, so if council members are interested, we'll let you know when we're having some more of those tours, and you can go out and see that facility. And then we probably match it with going and seeing the water treatment facility if you haven't seen that before, so you can understand kind of that process. But it's always, we always like to take the new employees out there so they just kind of get an idea and understanding. So anything else? I know, like I said, there's a lot of stuff on there. So, and we're starting budget too, so we began that process. What? Oh, and we have for Personnel Finance and Audit Committee, we'll probably be calling that shortly. We have more handbook amendments that we've been working on, and so we'll put that together, and we'll let you know on that one.
Any questions or comments for Greg?
The baseball parking or street parking, have they done anything as far as
We have-
eliminating one side versus the other?
We'll bring you a resolution. We've been monitoring it during baseball, so we'll bring you a red line resolution and go red line that.
Okay.
So.
And then the truck route, since the state will be rerouting, have we gotten any farther as far as lights or
They
the
installed.
improvement of that entrance kind of wiggle that you're not gonna be able to
I
put
have
two
not
semis
met
in
with,
there?
after we had those meetings, I have not met with Good Barn again to talk to him about it.
Well,
So,
what have you been doing?
nothing. So,
Well, I just wanted to just
again,
remind you.
that's also a county thing because technically that's a county road and that turn in alignment.
So Daryl out there by Tenneco,
You're talking about way out west.
I'm talking about like when you come here to Tenneco.
Oh, that's us. That alignment is us.
That one,
I thought you meant
As
the
far
one
as
out on
lighting.
Highway
but
34.
that one over there as far as lighting, because you cannot see where you need to turn for truck traffic reroute.
You're talking about west of town.
By the box factory.
Around,
Yes.
around through.
Yeah, so right there at the highway and then right there at the entrance to get on Isaac Walton Road, right? Is that what that's called?
Yes.
Isaac Walton. There needs to be two lights there.
Isaac Walton would be us for sure.
Talk to Terry,
Better
see what we can
safety
do
of the
there.
public.
And
The
then,
other thing would be is there's a lot of that's in the state right away, so we're gonna have to probably get them involved too.
Oh, I already sent it to Good Barn,
Okay.
so.
And we discussed this already now, the city said they're taking up the snow removal and salting because nobody wants to accept responsibility for that out there. We talked about this already.
doing it just because of the safe bet, it was easier for us to
It's easier us to push through it. So Bob just said he's just gonna push through it. So,
Any other questions or comments, or entertain a motion to accept?
we haven't implemented it because it hasn't snowed.
Yeah,
So we haven't had a chance to
I'm
see
just
if somebody went out there and didn't do it. We could be like, hey, they didn't do it. Obviously, we need to tell you guys to redo it.
2 weeks.
So,
still aren't plowing it.
I'm sorry. Yeah, we didn't, this year we didn't plow it. I apologize. We didn't plow it.
Didn't plow it all.
So, I'm sorry. I didn't mean
No,
to
you're
interrupt you.
So move to approve the report?
You have a motion, second?
Third.
You register your votes? Please display the votes.
in favor, Wilken, Beck, Camper, Colterman, Miller, Singleton, Streisand, Hendricks, 8-0.
Do you have any future requests for council agenda items or administrative action? Seeing none. Okay, Jonathan Jank, what's
Yes.
upcoming?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Quick reminder, we have cleanup day coming up this Saturday, 8 to noon at the Horseshoe, so again, encourage you to promote that accordingly. It's always a well-attended event, good opportunity to clean up our community and our county. A good partnership with Four Corners for hazardous waste collection. We have our annual business anniversaries luncheon on Thursday the 28th, celebrating businesses 5 to 150 years and everything in between. If you want to join us, please let our office know. Doing the Zoom meetings with Four Corners on the COVID updates, same day at 1 o'clock. Also that same day, we have a business after hours at the Seward County Independent at 4:30. And lastly, on that same day, as Greg mentioned, we have the very, very important meeting for Nebraska Highway 15 paving project. So please promote that. And then lastly, quick reminder, Seward County Gives Day coming up on the 5th. But then we'll have kind of the week before that, good opportunity to support 24 charitable causes across the county. And so would ask you to engage in that important effort. And with that, that's all. Thanks, Mayor.
Alright, thank you, Jonathan. And with that, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Moved.
Second.
Motion and a second, please register your votes, please display the vote.
Voting in favor, Wilken, Beck, Camper, Colterman, Miller, Singleton, Streisand, Hendricks, 8-0.
Thank you all, have a good night.